Mr. Pantano, one of our federal government's most important duties is to protect the homeland from terrorists and other threats. What weakness do you see in our homeland security efforts, and what should we do to correct them?
As somebody who has led infantrymen in combat, there are lots of different approaches to the defense. You can wait and let people come to you, or you can go and hunt them down and find them before they get to you. And I would offer that the approach that we have in defending the homeland needs to have multiple prongs, with multiple fights waged around the world at any given time. At the same time, we need to be very mindful of the big holes, all of which were identified in the 9/11 Commission, but have never been properly addressed, from identification to border security. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 of the 9/11 hijackers were stopped 6 months before the attack, and had their immigration information been properly managed and controlled, we might have been able to avert disaster. One of them received a speeding ticket on the way to the airport. His citation was found inside the crew compartment. So I would offer that border security is a national security issue, and securing our borders will not only stop a flow of illegal immigrants, but will also make sure that we know who is coming in and out of our country, and so that there are those who, with the interest of doing us harm, can be stopped and dealt with. I would also offer that homeland security can never just be viewed statically or defensively. The French learned this lesson with the Maginot Line. Is everyone familiar? A wall of concrete with guns pointed in one direction, and the Germans went around. We have to be able to outthink our enemy. We're doing that in our campaign. We've got a DVD, so we can out-communicate a mainstream media that's not interested in covering this race. And to the extent that homeland security boils down to a war of ideas, we need to be able to out-communicate our ideology, our passion, our intent, and our values, and that will be one prong of this effort. Not all of it is going to be kinetic. Not all of it is going to involve bombs or soldiers. Much of it needs to be diplomatic. Much of it needs to be with our intelligence assets and things that we must maintain and must be kept secret. And as Will has pointed out, there have been members of Congress, notably Nancy Pelosi. Everyone is familiar with her in this room? You've heard of her? This is the same person who in 2004, and I got this from a brief by Porter Goss, the former director of Central Intelligence. In 2004, she was told what we, the CIA, were doing to find out information. And at that time, she said, "Is that all?" More recently, you may know her as the person who's wanted to launch criminal investigations. And I would offer to you that having representatives in Washington, D.C., who have been enabled by our Democratic opponent, Mike McIntyre, that is the best thing that we can do for national security, as I wrap up in my 5 seconds, is make sure that Nancy Pelosi has no more opportunity to run the Congress, and that we are in fact, one of us is in fact your representative in the U.S. Congress. Thank you.
Mr. Breazeale, you have 2 minutes.
Members of the media here, I did not throw my voice. I don't feel that way. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for covering this race. Look, I was at the War College last year. 2 weeks ago last year, where I was picked by the Department of the Army to help train our future military generals. And I met with the Deputy Administrator of Homeland Security for Aviation Security. As an airline pilot, there is no truer front line other than our military overseas than being an airline pilot fighting terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, I fly a 155,000-pound airplane that cruises at 600 miles an hour. It's literally a flying missile. No profession has been affected more than my profession when it comes to the terrorist attacks. And we are allowed, and we have been authorized to be federal flight deck officers, federal law enforcement officers, to defend the smallest jurisdiction in the world, that cockpit. And if I fail, we have another 9/11. So responsibility I take seriously. As far as foreign policy experience, my foreign policy experience is unmatched in this race, even by Mike McIntyre, because I've met with senior department officials. In fact, in my last job in the Iraq war, I had to meet with the Minister of Defense of the Iraqi Army. His equivalent is Secretary Gates. I agree, the best defense is a good offense, but we have to do it right. We have to use all available means, diplomatic, informational, military, and economic means to win this fight against terrorism. And we have to recognize and praise legal immigrants like Benny Aldisaki. Where are you, Benny? Legal immigrants, while we defend our homeland against illegal immigrants.